TV, film. What about theater? Have you done theater? Would you like to do theater?
Tennessee
It
Williams,
is my dream
for
to
instance.
do theater. I
right?
have been very close in a few sort of off-Broadway plays in New York.
So
and
you've thought about it,
I've
yeah.
been trying,
Yeah, right.
and I've been very close to a few. So I do think that's in the future. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, again, you start out with Tennessee Williams. It's probably not a short walk to think that you
I-
want to do theater.
And I did start on the stage. I mean, it was Winnie the Pooh in Matthews, North Carolina, but I did act. I did do plays growing up.
And what was your role?
Pink Rabbit.
You were Pink-
Rabbit's niece. Like not even Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh.
You were a supporting player.
The niece of Rabbit.
a supporting
Yeah, it was my
player.
first
That's
play.
fine.
What
That's
can I
okay.
say? Yeah. Hi.
Mish.
Hi. I read that in researching for one of your roles that you spent a lot of time visiting wounded soldiers.
I did.
And I would like to know what about that experience still sticks with you today that you can just put yourself right back
This
there.
film, this was
This was
for
Battleship.
For
right?
Battleship,
Yeah, yeah.
and especially now that you're a mom, of just what that experience was like.
So on Battleship, I actually worked with Greg Gatson, Colonel Greg Gatson. He lost both of his legs, and he was with his team, and an IED went off, and he lost both of his legs. And at that time, he was the highest-ranking officer to be injured, I think. And at that time, that was the case. I don't know that that's still the case. But he and I worked closely together for almost a year on that, and we actually still keep in touch to this day. And we went to San Antonio to visit the troops there. And my role in that, and look, like Battleship was a summer blockbuster. It was not.
Well, it's based on a board game, right?
Correct.
I mean, you know.
So
This is
you
not
know,
Proust. I
this
understand.
is thank
but
you.
But you're
Yes,
forgiven, though.
thank
I mean,
you.
that's okay.
But
Right.
I was playing a physical therapist to wounded vets who had come back, and so we thought it would be really nice to meet a lot of these guys and the guys and girls, and or men and women, I should say. And what did I take away from that? I mean, first of all, their unwavering patriotism was surprising. That they came back from this awful experience and still had this amount of patriotism.
Not bitter.
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. And I found that to be just incredibly surprising
Yep.
and encouraging, but also I couldn't understand it. Like I couldn't quite understand how, like I just was I couldn't put myself in that situation, but I was thinking like I would be angry and I would be bitter and I would be resentful and I'd be pissed off at everyone, and there was none of that there. And I think for someone to go into the military, you're just overall a better person, right? There's a higher sense of self and sacrifice that one has to adopt to go into that line of work, and they're far better than me. And so as far as what I took away from that, I just, an enormous amount of respect, but that was already there.
Do you do as much research for the other projects that you're on as you did for that?
No, but my other, I mean, if I had any role that was like profession specific, I would.
Yeah.
But Mallory, you know, on Grace and Frankie, she's a stay-at-home mom and doesn't
You're-
have a
You're already doing the research.
profession,
in
you know.
essence,
So
right, yeah.
yeah. So, but if it was like profession specific, or we were doing something that's sort of that niche, yeah. And we shot in San Antonio. So we were actually shooting with a lot of these men and women who had come back. So they were characters in the
Right.
film, and we were working together every day. So there was just sort of a level of intimacy that I got to have with a lot of these people that I don't think I would have otherwise.
Good.
That was a really long answer, and I don't even know that I answered it.
No, it's a
but
good answer. It was good.
Yeah, it was really
Anybody
special.
else? Why are you all still living in Austin?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Oh, you looked at the audience.
No, I'm
You looked at the audience.
I'm less interested in their answer. Unless I want
You
everybody to
asked the
go
whole audience. I was
one at a
like-
time. I want an answer, one at a time. How come? Why are you and Andy still living in Austin? I know that Andy's roots are here.
Andy's from here.
Right.
I can't do New York or LA. Like, I just don't. I'm not a city person. I like living in the woods. And
Well, living in the woods in Austin means you're only half a mile from a Starbucks, as opposed
that's
to.
true.
Right.
That's true. Although where we are in Bee Cave, we are, I mean, it is, we
It's
are,
woods-ish.
we literally even live in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, we see tarantulas get in the house all the time,
Right.
and coral snakes and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, yes, you're right. We're 5 minutes from Starbucks. But no, it's incredibly grounded here, and I also like that there's a diverse you think of LA and it's a one profession
Yeah, it's a company town,
It's a
right?
one industry town. It's
We're like
similar
Washington.
to
It's a
DC,
company
exactly.
town.
And I think that can just be really toxic and you're working in an echo chamber. And I've always really appreciated diversity of thought.
Yeah.
And I feel like Austin really has diversity of thought.
Good.
And plus, I got to see trees.
Yeah. And the weather is
that's it.
good 11 and a half months. I can personally attest to this, that 11 and a half months of the year you can play tennis outside.
What about the other 2 weeks?
Well,
Too hot or too cold?
the weather's too cold.
Too cold, okay, okay.
But I
Okay.
mean, it's not a bad, weather's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Weather's
incredible.
pretty good.
It's incredible.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank
Happy to
you.
see you. Give her a
Me
hand
too.
again. Brooklyn Decker, thank you. Good. Really
Thank you
appreciate
so much.
so much.
Thank
Good.
you.